guys, so I wanted to update you guys. It's been 3 months since we last filmed, so a lot has happened and there are reasons why we didn't film, and I'm here to update you. So we had our baby boy and our little Joey, and today I'm going to talk about the rest of the pregnancy. Our life's just so different now. 3 months have passed and our life is so different. Carmen, say hi. Can you say hi? Say hello. She has mac and cheese all over her face. Say hi. Uh-oh. You knocked it over. Whoop. Say hi. In our last video, John talked about how we were planning on moving. I think in my pregnancy, I had the shunt surgery done, and at the time I had amniotic fluid in my stomach and everything was okay. Like, we were just waiting to see what would happen. So I think I had like 5 weeks where I had amniotic fluid in my stomach. And then I went to an appointment 1 week and they were like, okay, you have no fluid in your stomach. At that point, they were saying that they didn't think he had any kidney function. So they pretty much were telling me that they didn't think he was going to live very much longer inside of me, because when you have no fluid in your stomach, the baby is likely to roll over onto its cord and the heart can stop beating. Also, babies with kidney problems in the womb, they stop growing as fast. So that was crazy. And that was like a week from our last video, I believe. So I was admitted into the hospital because I had no amniotic fluid. And normally when a regular pregnant person breaks their water early or something, they get admitted into the hospital. But my water didn't break, I just lost fluid. And they were saying it was because his kidneys had stopped working, so that he was just swallowing fluid and he wasn't peeing the fluid back out into the amniotic sac. So I was in the hospital for a week, and then my doctor came to me and he was like, okay, at this point in your pregnancy, if the baby was to roll over on its cord and its heartbeat was gonna stop, we could reel you into the OR and you could have an emergency C-section. But I don't feel comfortable doing that because I don't think the baby's gonna make it, because he has kidney problems and he's gonna be premature. So at that time, my doctor was like, there's no point in you being here just stressing yourself out more, because he's not gonna make it if we do a C-section at this point in time. And he's like, you'll be less stressed if you go home and rest there. And I think you're likely to carry the baby longer if you go home. So after being admitted for a week, I went home. And we lived in the trailer for a total of 2 weeks because we found out that the trailer had mold, and you couldn't see the mold or anything, but you could smell the mold. So, and our landlord, I think, totally knew that there was problems. So she was totally fine with us leaving, and that was that. We didn't want to make her pay any money or make her pay our rent or anything. So we just left. Also, we were staying at this family friend's house. They were super nice and helping us out a whole lot. And sorry, Carmen's playing with her toys. A few weeks go by with me not having any amniotic fluid, and I keep going to the doctors, and there just came a week where I think my doctor was just having a really bad day or something. But because he was having this bad day, he was like, look, your baby's not gonna make it with a regular vaginal birth because of his lungs are probably underdeveloped, his kidneys are not working, and his heart is probably going to stop beating because he's going to roll over his cord. So he's not going to make it. So I'm not going to do an emergency C-section until he makes it to this certain weight. And he was telling me this because the baby's growth, when I was pregnant with him, with Joey, his growth kind of slowed down, and it was because of his kidney problems. So he was just like, he's not going to grow anymore. So, and I'm not doing an emergency C-section, and he's not going to live through a vaginal birth. So I was like kind of like really upset with our doctor, even though he's a really good doctor. I was just upset with him. And so we talked to another doctor, the kidney doctor, and she was giving her advice as to what we should do next. And she was telling us about Cincinnati Children's Hospital. They're the most experienced with babies that are premature and have kidney problems. We like prayed about it for like a week. And there were certain signs that like told us that we should go there. And me and my husband, we talked to a few doctors here in Cincinnati, and we just decided that we were gonna go to Cincinnati. And John was planning on going to the police academy. He was all signed up for it. He had everything ready to go. And we just up and came here. John drove down here so we could have a car, and I flew here. We left Carmen with a family friend's house in Texas. And then while John was getting a job and finding us a place to live, and I was supposed to be admitted in the hospital and everything, and then he would drive back to Texas and pick up Carmen and go back to Ohio. So that was our plan that we decided that we were gonna do. Me and John, we came at the beginning of the month. Our appointment was set on, my appointment with the fetal center here was set on the 2nd of April. So we went to my appointment here, and John already had a job offer from Taco Bell. I went to my first appointment. They were like, they were super positive. They were like telling me how I was gonna make it through this pregnancy. They were gonna be monitoring me. Like they would do an emergency C-section if I needed one. And then they were saying, oh, we wanna do an amnio infusion. And that was something we kind of decided that we weren't going to do. But at this point, I'm like so scared because the doctor before us was like telling us that he wasn't gonna be able to have a vaginal birth because his lungs weren't going to be developed. So we were mostly concerned about his lungs, and an amnio infusion puts fluid into your belly so that the baby can swallow the fluid, and even if his kidneys aren't working, at least his lungs can develop. Because it's hard to have a baby whose lungs aren't developed and he has kidney problems and he's premature. So the whole point in the amnio infusion was to put amniotic fluid into my stomach so that the baby's lungs can develop. And so we decided that day that we were going to do an amnio infusion, and it's what our doctors at the fetal care center, our new doctors, wanted us to do. So we did that, and they just put fluid, and they had to poke me a few times to do fluid so they could find the right open places to put fluid and everything. It went really well, and then we got back in the car, we left the appointment. I was supposed to have another appointment the next day, and 20 minutes in the car, we were driving around trying to look for places to live, and my water broke. And I knew that it was my water because my water broke with Carmen. And it wasn't like a big giant gush, it was like my stomach was this bowl, and like as we were in the car, like the water was like spilling out of the bowl. And I was like, John, I think my water broke, you need to stop. And I felt really bad for John because I was kind of yelling at him, I was freaking out. I was like, we did this procedure, and one of the risks to do this procedure is your water can break or it can put you into labor. And at this point I'm yelling at John, I'm like, you're driving the car too bumpy, but in reality it wasn't his fault because it was the procedure that did it. And because I had a procedure before and this is another procedure, so I guess the sac inside me just couldn't handle it anymore, and it just popped. I couldn't stop it from coming. I called the doctor, and they're like, okay, come back in, no worry. And at this point, I'm just bawling. I'm like, we're gonna lose our baby. My water just broke, and he is too little right now to be on dialysis. So we went back into their labor and delivery, their emergency room area, and they admitted me in the hospital. They checked to make sure my water broke, which it did, and then they checked to see how far along I was, and I wasn't dilated at all. So they admitted me, and I wasn't feeling any contractions. I started feeling Braxton Hicks, which was normal, but they didn't hurt at all. They didn't hurt at all. So I didn't know that anything was happening. And my appointment that morning was at 10 o'clock. So they admitted me probably at like 11 o'clock. And then I was in the hospital all that night, no pain at all. And they started giving me, I was like, I think I'm having Braxton Hicks, but I'm not sure. And they don't want to check your cervix too many times because that can make you dilate more or something. So they didn't check my cervix because I wasn't having any pain. And then I ate dinner, I went to sleep, and they were giving me some kind of medicine to keep me from having contractions, but I like wasn't really contracting. They were just making sure that I wouldn't have contractions or something. And then all of a sudden the Braxton Hicks started feeling painful. And I was like, okay, I'll tell my nurse, they're not very close together. It's not that bad. I was like trying to talk me down, and they were pretty much certain that they could keep me pregnant for the next few weeks so that he could grow. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I was like, okay, I cannot handle this pain anymore. And the nurse kind of like, she was doing a good job, but she wasn't really like sure I was having contractions because I was pretty calm. I was like handling the pain pretty well. And then all of a sudden, like, I could not handle the pain. I was like, and I started throwing up. And sorry, that's gross, but I threw up. And then she's like, oh yeah, we gotta check your cervix. So she checked my cervix, and I was 6 centimeters dilated. And it was like all of a sudden I started feeling pain at 5 o'clock, and she checked my cervix at 6 o'clock, and then they put me into another room because I was gonna have this baby in the next few hours. So then they gave me an epidural because of course I'm a wimp and I can't handle any pain. I like was just really emotional, you know, because I wasn't supposed to have this baby at this time, and the doctors were telling me they could keep me pregnant, and I came all the way to Cincinnati for these doctors that were supposed to keep me pregnant, keep my baby alive. And John quit the police academy. So in my head, I was just like, why is this happening? And John is like the best husband the whole time. He's just like, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. And he's just calm, and he just knows that everything's gonna be okay, and I'm just freaking out. And I was also freaking out because I wanted an emergency C-section because previous doctors were telling me that he wouldn't be able to make it through a regular vaginal delivery. So I wanted the emergency C-section, and they're like, it's okay. Like, if his heartbeat stops beating, then we'll do the emergency C-section. And I'm like freaking out. They're like, we're going to try to do the vaginal delivery, but if his heart stops beating, then we'll do the emergency C-section. I started pushing at like 10 o'clock. I only pushed for 6 minutes. His heart never stopped beating, and then he came out. And he came out and cried. And I wasn't thinking that he would cry. I was thinking he wasn't going to make it. He let out a cry, and they already told me I wasn't going to be able to hold him right away, but they let me see him for a second, and they took him to another room. And then a few minutes came by, and they said, we intubated him. He's hooked up to breathing tubes, and we'll bring him here so you can see him, and then we'll take him to the NICU. Hi. Wee. Say hello. Hey. So I put Carmen to sleep, and John got home from work. So
late.
Yeah.
I miss working days. I mean, it's not that I don't work days. It's just 10 hours instead of 8 hours when I worked at the warehouse and got off at 4:30. Good times. You know, I only lived 10 minutes away. Now I live like 20 minutes away. And then I went to the hospital afterwards, so I'm pretty pooped. But it's good.
Yeah, so I just wanted to end like a little bit, just so y'all know, our little baby boy still working hard. He's still got a long journey ahead of him, but he's doing super great. And he's been alive for 4 weeks now. He's a month old. So we will do a video about the last month and some of the miracles and obstacles that he's overcome. And I will break it up so that the videos aren't too long and hard to watch. But we want to make more videos, right?
Yeah, we're gonna keep doing this bad boy. We're getting back into this whole thing. We're gonna try and do it daily. We're gonna go and do that again. But so look forward to seeing more of us, especially those that we left down in Texas that don't get to see us very often. And so, updates on our life, and hopefully we have more interesting things. There's lots of cool things to do up here in Cincinnati, and we'll vlog about it. Our good times, good experiences, and our crazy life. Anyway, we love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.